My name's Mr. X. This is the Extreme Channel. Whenever I look down, just so you guys know, I'm not looking at my manhood, I'm looking at my microphone. Maybe. But anyway, this is the Extreme Channel, and you have tuned in for Star Wars Episode 17. That's right, it is the 17th Star Wars episode on the Extreme Channel. This does not mean it's the 17th chapter that Disney or George Lucas or whoever the fuck's in charge of it now. It means it is the 17th statue that we have added to the Extreme Collection regarding Star Wars. So let's just dive into this hot. She's hot. Her face, at least. Body, it's a little too plasticky for me. Too polished. Mr. X with the Extreme Channel here, and I have another addition to my Star Wars collection. That's right, it is Jyn Erso from A Star Wars Story, Rogue One. This is the premium format, which means it's quarter scale, 1/4 her height and size in real life, made by Sideshow Collectibles. Pretty excited. I think this is one of the last pieces that Sideshow made before they lost their Star Wars license. And I'd wanted her for quite a while. Essentially, if you checked out my Rey review, I saw Rey in Disney and I was really impressed. I saw the actual premium format at Galaxy's Edge. I don't think it was actually Galaxy's Edge, but it was at Hollywood Studios. And I thought it was fantastically done. I thought the likeness, the portrait, looked just like the actress. So I ended up getting that on eBay for a great deal. And I had my eye out for this piece, but I only wanted the exclusive. So Sideshow made two versions of these. First is a collector's edition. They made 1,000 of these. They retailed for $500. They also made an exclusive for the same price. They made 500 of them, and they came with an exclusive switch-out portrait. Right here is a picture of the collector's portrait. So this comes on all 1,500 statues, and as you can see right now, the likeness is spot on. Not necessarily to the movie, but to the actress. And then here's the exclusive head with the helmet. And I had my eye out for this guy. I only wanted this particular version because this is the one I would display. And of course it was sold out on Sideshow, and eBay flippers were wanting like $300 extra for this. But then during Spooktacular, this was a last chance, and I was able to use a code on it, so I got it for $450. I think free shipping too, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so pretty happy. Got her in, and I'm not as happy, spoiler, as I was with Rey. And it's not because the likeness is off. I think the likeness is spot on. But overall with the statue, I just don't like it as much, which we'll talk about when we do the review. Let's get dimensions on her. She does not take up a lot of space, which is fantastic. She's just under 19 inches tall. 11 inches wide, don't ever call a woman wide, and about 9 inches deep. If you want exact measurements, please visit Sideshow Collectibles website. Came in the standard Sideshow packaging, had a shipper, and then of course, here's the size of it, and my phone's on top to give you perspective. Then an art box. I'm not an art box guy. I don't care if it comes with art boxes or not. And one layer in the styrofoam right here. And a number of pieces. Let's throw that picture up right here. The base is one piece on the bottom, minus these two parts that connect via peg. And I don't think it's a magnet, so they easily fall out, which we'll talk about in the design. Jyn is one piece, minus her arms, which you actually have to insert through the sleeves. And I still can't get it to set right. And her portrait. And then there's a number of mixed media pieces on here that actually could be removed. Kind of interesting. Wasn't that easy to get together. It actually had some instructions, which we don't use on this channel. But we're going to talk more about that when we get to the design. So this is Jyn Erso. This is from Star Wars Rogue One. This is a moneymaker film that they actually made that is essentially in between episodes 3 and 4, so maybe episode 3.5, where a rogue version of the rebellion goes on a mission to get the Death Star plans, and that's how they get them. And this sets up for Star Wars Episode 4, the first Star Wars film they ever made. I like the film. I don't think it's the best new one ever made. A lot of people are big proponents of this film. I really enjoyed Felicity Jones, the actress, and I love the ending. If you didn't like the ending, you are not a Star Wars fan. That was the best ending. Just surprised as shit with Darth Vader. So I decided to add this because I was so happy with the Ray Premium format, and we're going to talk about it later when we go into the review, or actually right now. So we're going to do the extreme review. We're going to use the extreme scale. If you're new to this channel or you just need a refresher, here it is. It's T through X. T is bad, X is good. Anything from V on up, so 3 or 4 or 5 out of 5, kind of think of it that way, is a good score. Anything below that is not a good score. And we grade a bunch of different aspects of the statue. I can't even talk today. I usually can't talk, but you guys still hang in with me, so I appreciate that. But let's talk about her concept first. That's the first thing. So conceptually, this is from the movie. And there's a few things I don't know whether when we talk about likeness of the character, I don't know if that falls into concept or design or paint or sculpt. So we're going to just throw it in one category, and I'm not sure which one. We'll figure it out in the next few seconds. But at the base here, she's standing on a base that's very reminiscent of the movie. Probably the planet at the end of the movie when she was getting the Death Star plans uploaded before. Spoiler alert, stop the video right now if you haven't seen the movie, before she dies. And it's kind of an Imperial type base. Standing there in a museum pose, but she's ready for action. She has her pistol on her side. She has her pistol in her hands. She has the air purifying mask. She's totally geared out. And her face, she's very happy, which is weird. And obviously this is a museum piece. It's not from an exact scene in the movie, so that's why they gave her that face. But I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't follow the story. She's too happy, and I guess we're going to throw this into the concept. She's not dirty. You're going to see more in close-ups. She's completely clean, and not only is she clean, but her face portrait is beautiful. Her makeup is perfect, and I think they tied too much of the concept to the actress and not the character she played in the movie. The movie, she was kind of a scavenger out on her own, very dirty, where here she's beautiful with makeup on. So we're going to grade the concept right now. The concept is a big, fat U. Ugly. The statue is not ugly. The concept is. 2 out of 5 on that. I think it's a miss for those reasons. It doesn't follow the true story. And if you guys went and saw my Star Wars reaction trailer, I'm not a true Star Wars fan, obviously, because I didn't come all over the screen during the final trailer. Yeah, I said it. I think, I'm going to have to mark this video. If you're wondering why this video is marked adults only, that's why, because there's too many kids looking for Star Wars comments in our content. We're talking about some inappropriate things. But anyway, back to her design. I think they also messed up on the design too. And there's some good things and bad things. First of all, we already talked about this one, that these are so loose on the side, they should have been magnets. They just sit in there via key, and you should not have a key if something is completely vertical like that. That's one issue. One good thing they did is when installing her arms, you actually have a small gap in this cloak or cape, which we're going to look at later. So it's easier to connect her arms with, which if you've ever connected arms through mixed media sleeves before, it's not that easy. They do make it easier, so I appreciate that. Another good thing they did is not only does she have 2 switch out portraits, or 1 portrait if you got the collectors, but there's a number of different ways to display. So here's a picture of her with her collector's edition head, her regular portrait, and her hood up. Kind of different, kind of neat. And then also, here's one with her hood down, and you can put her, it's not a gas mask, but technically it's an SCBA, a self-contained breathing apparatus. although I wouldn't keep that up there because it might mess up the paint. Or then here's her hood on top of her helmeted portrait. However, one issue I do have with the design of her exclusive portrait is look at her lip right here. It looks like it's either damaged or she just has a tiny little weird hole. Not the typical hole you would see in a mouth like that. And there are so many dirty jokes right here, which I should say them because I already made the video adult. So I think those are some issues with the design. The last issue, and this could be user error, but I don't think it is because, believe it or not, I've assembled a few statues. I can't get her gun to sit correctly. I can't. The arms are in properly, 100%, and it almost breaks the fingers off. So I'm not a fan of that. I think that's a huge design issue, a huge flaw. And not the last one, I guess. This cloak sucks for posing. I'm not a good poser by any means, both in real life and with fabric clothing, but it's just not very good. So unfortunately, we have another U for the design. It's not the worst design, it's not a wolf slayer, but it sucks. Ugly design. Let's talk about the paint and sculpt, and I guess here is where we're going to get into the likeness of the character. We're also going to talk about a lot of this piece, and keep in mind, paint, we're essentially going to look at the base, her boots, and same with sculpt, the base, her boots, her portrait, and her hands, and maybe the gun. Because the rest is mixed media. And when we say mixed media, we mean fabric. It's just fancy. Like premium format is fancy for quarter scale. And just like they're not used car salesmen, they're certified, pre-owned consultants. Let's start at the base with the paint and sculpt. On the bottom of this is an earthy, planety, if that's a word, Captain Planet tone. You have some greens and browns in here to simulate the earth or the ground and some dirt of the planet that they're on in that end scene, the final battle. It looks okay. I like the texture on it. I think the sculpt's better than the paint. The paint, they tried to do this moss effect and it just doesn't work if it's just painted on. Kind of looks like swirling shit when you just ate some broccoli, but not in a bad way. Here's a picture of the antenna that are on there that don't sit in straight. And it's okay. I mean, it looks like two pairs of guns actually. And you know, this is really crooked actually. So it's another design issue. Might almost rate the design down to a T, but it doesn't sit in very well. And here's the communications box or whatever that is on the other side. Looks good. I like the wear on it. I like how it looks older. And you'll find that same exact thing with the top of the base. Has kind of this old, worn grays and almost some hints of green in there and blacks. Treads, they have that cool yellow line you think of when you look at a loading dock or something. And this grate, it's a nice extra effect to the base. Makes a simple base not boring. And then check out her shoes here, her boots, lady boots. They look good. I like the wear in them. I like the weathering on the brown. A little too clean though for, as we talked about, she's kind of a scavenger and on a mission. The buckles look good. Some folds in there. And then the mixed media pants, we'll talk about all the mixed media here actually. It's fine. It's hard for me to judge mixed media. I'm not a dresser in real life either, so I can't really talk too much about fabrics, but I'm just giving you some close-ups here. She has a lot of extra accessories, some straps on there. Here's her holster, the leather strap around it. I always worry about leather because I have Sideshow's Legendary Wolf and the leather just deteriorates like crazy. Pistol looks good on the inside. I like the fact it's more of a futuristic pistol, which, you know, that's what they use in Star Wars. Here's a picture of the hose leading up to her SCBA, as I call it. Close-up of the mask here. And then here's the pouch that it's contained in. Camouflage colors, some cool straps on this. And then Here I actually had to take it out. It looks like an oxygen tank inside of there. Which technically that's what I should be calling this, I guess. Oxygen tank. Looks good. Cool little detail. Let's take a look at her cloak. It's okay. You know, I assume they're pretty movie accurate, otherwise Disney wouldn't have granted the license. Same color as a lot of the rest of the statue, and I don't like that it's not very posable. There's not many wires in it. Let's take a look at her pistol here. Big ass pistol. Stormtrooper gun looks like. I can't remember if that's what it was or not. They could have added more color to this. I just noticed the foam was still in it, so you probably see that in the pictures. Here's her fingers. Her fingers are way too skinny. However, the gloves around her fingers look good. I like the texturing on her gloves and the color. The padding looks good. Hard to see in the pictures, but there it is. She also has a sash. And these grenades, I believe, are actually removable, but I don't want to try and remove them. Green sash on the top. And then let's take a look at her collector's portrait. Again, here's the close-ups, and you see that same lip, and I guess it's not damaged because it's on both of them. But let's look at her hair really quick. I think they did a great job on her hair. The strands, the coloring. She must be the only action woman whose hair doesn't fall out of place, but it looks great. And she has the bun in the back, you know, kind of a tribute to Princess Leia, I believe. But then great skin tones. Again, you can see the blush on the sides where she's really dolled up. You can see the makeup around her eyes. Her eyes, they have a great effect, kind of this glistening effect. They look good. Her eyelashes, or eyebrows, I'm sorry, they look sculpted in, but they feel like they're painted, so I can't really tell. But either way, that's a good thing. Definition in her cheekbones. Great sculpt on the face. Let's jump to the helmeted portrait, which is almost exactly the same. Again, I think the expression is off when it comes to the concept because she's too happy. But as you can see, the likeness is amazing. They nailed the likeness out of the park. Looks just like her, maybe not her in the movie, but take a look at this hat. So this hat is completely sculpted, although it looks just like the mixed media below. So I think that's a great job. I like the detail with the goggles and the different textures they used and some folds in it, and you know, this communications device on the outside. Like I said, it looks like a real hat. So I have to throw him a bone. I'm going to give him a W on the sculpt. I think it's a fantastically done sculpt, even though there's not much they had to sculpt. And I think that's a key when you are going to, when you only have this much of a statue to sculpt and paint, you know, and I know the base too, make sure you knock it out of the park. Paint though, because they gave her too much makeup, I think that knocks it down some, even though it's done really well. It ties a little bit to the concept, but we're going to go ahead and give that a V right in the middle, so a 3 out of 5 for the paint. Overall, I think it's a nice statue. I think if you're a fan of the movie, you're a fan of the actress, of the character, and you have a Star Wars collection, it's a definite pickup, so giving it a V. A little bit of foresight, especially when you're doing Star Wars characters. You want it to knock it out of the park, but of course it is a cheaper price point, and you gotta think the Star Wars license costs a decent amount. Just my opinion. I'm sure it does. So $500 for a quarter scale Star Wars figure is not necessarily a bad deal. But those are my thoughts. Overall, a V, as I said. I'm happy to have it. I think she's gonna look great in the Star Wars collection. Eventually, I've decided that behind me is probably going to be the Star Wars collection, maybe on the bottom shelf. I'm eventually going to get rid of the Spidey collection. Do not message me asking or comment if you can buy one of those. You can't. I'm talking like a year out. Or 2 days. I change my mind a lot. But I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know what your favorite Star Wars piece of the 17 I've reviewed is. I need to ask you guys to do this stuff at the beginning, because in YouTube you can actually see when people watch. In most YouTube videos, people drop off at the end. So if you hang in till the end, I appreciate you. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know which of the 17 pieces is your favorite. If you haven't watched the other ones, you have 16 more to watch. And I have another 3 Star Wars pieces on order. So we will hit 20 episodes. Pretty cool. Take care, guys.